Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, IT Nation. This is Dan. And as you can see, a bit of an outside broadcast for you this week. The best laid plans of mice and men and all that, thanks to the Transport Network. Currently in Reading Station, as you can put the eagle-eyed of you will have noticed. And this one not sponsored by WH Smith Reading, but we will let them get away with it, as the saying goes. So a very warm welcome to you as we find ourselves in 1 month's time. We are going to be live together in London for IT Nation Connect Europe at the Hilton Metropole from the 10th to the 12th of March, and I cannot wait. The full agenda is online, possibly since the last one of these that Sean and I presented. The full agenda with all of our sessions. One thing we have added that I will make a special point out to you all to go and check out, please, are our panel sessions. So one of the goals of the conferences we've spoken about on these sessions before is to bring the greater the community together to share and learn from each other. And one of the ways that we want to do that is to get as many people involved as we can, highlight as many voices, enable you to meet new people that afterwards you can go, can I borrow you? Can we have a chat? Can we swap email? I'd love to pick up what you were saying and get some further insights on that. And best way to do that, of course, is to get your peers involved in panel sessions. So we have 4 panels that we've added. Go and check out all the details. Doesn't need me to talk about it here and go through them all, but theitnation.com. So for anything that you need for the conference, just remember that, all one word, theitnation.com. Of course, going to rewind as well, our amazing guest keynote with none other, get my words out, than Double, Diary of a CEO attendee and guest. The first podcast that he was on with Stephen Bartlett has amassed over 4 million views, I believe, at time of talking. The second one has done over 250,000 in the first 24 hours that it was online. None other than Daniel Priestley. Get oversubscribed, stop chasing your clients and get them chasing you is the title of his guest keynote, and I can't wait. So when we look at challenges such as routes to market that have dried up, and let's train, routes to market that have dried up since the pandemic, such as how to differentiate yourself and create a true value proposition rather than simply relying on reputation within people you already know, or within their ability to understand technology, and then also how to manage your entire new business process from a standpoint of people looking to do business with you rather than you going out there and desperately trying to sort of put pen to paper or get contracts agreed. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. So Daniel Priestley, live and in person, our guest keynote speaker at IT Nation Connect Europe. So on to today, and our guest speaker is somebody, again, a community member. There's a recurring theme here. If you look through our agenda of as many sessions as we possibly can from the community, is someone who comes with a really unique angle into our world and into conversations that we're going to be having with clients, I think, over the next 12, 24, 36 months, if you aren't already. So without further ado, because if not, I will talk for too long, I would like to welcome Mr. Daniel Ellis. Daniel, a very good morning and warm welcome. How are you doing?
Hello, good sir. I'm doing splendidly, thank you. I'm noticing a pattern here. We've got Dan Priestley, Dan Scott, and Dan Ellis, and I assure you, other people with different names will be a part of IT Nation.
They are very, very welcome. Well, thank you for joining me today. I really, really appreciate it. And first up, here's the thing. I will set the scene. I was at a talk about a year ago with a man called Stephen Capper. Stephen is a member of a company called S&C Lavalin, big civil engineering company. And Stephen said this, and it got everyone very interested in the room. I have a 300 million IT outsourcing budget for next year. And all of a sudden, some meerkats, people were standing to attention in the back of the room. And you're not getting a penny of it unless you can help me demonstrate S&C Lavalin's commitment to net zero. That was interesting.
Fantastic. I must confess, I have some awareness of some of AstraZeneca's internal rules and processes, and they had a situation where they just dumped an entire supplier, huge contracts, because they weren't hitting their green targets. I think it was they ditched Zoom for not hitting the green targets. These big companies, they are paving the way for energy saving, for energy efficiency, for net zero, for whatever. So we are seeing this everywhere. It's a good example.
But first of all, a little bit of back, let's just reverse a little bit. I always come things from weird angles. Because people are thinking, okay, there's someone here and wants to talk to us about being green, power saving, there's an angle to this one. But actually, I'd like to reverse a little bit. Tell us about you and your background. And before, you're here to talk about PC Powersave and your role there. But let's have a little chat about where your route through the industry.
Certainly. Well, just To be clear, I'm going to talk about PC Powersave, but I'm also going to talk about my experience running an MSP. Because in 2005, I set up an MSP and been running that ever since, but I'm currently in the middle of stepping out to focus on energy saving. So for the longest time, I've been fixing computer systems, working on, it was Windows XP, SBS 2003, Office 2003, when computer systems were fantastic. But over
Exchange
the years,
were not. Sorry.
No. Well, over time, I have been something of an energy nerd. On the side, I am a part-time tech director of a hydroelectric facility here in the UK. I also am involved in an EV charging network and an MSP and an energy saving software company. So if it's nerdy or about energy, I will probably be interested in it. And what I would like to be talking about at IT Nation is not just PC Powersave and all the wonderful things it can do, but also our experience running an MSP and some of the things we did using energy saving in order to generate new wins. So it's not just to pitch Powersave at you. There is going to be some real life examples of how we've won new business using energy saving or
Amazing.
energy efficiency.
Yeah, amazing. So from the MSP, obviously you're still involved, as in you're still a shareholder. From that side of things, where have you seen the number of conversations around net zero, green targets, B Corp, any kind of energy saving initiative or importance to the client? How have you seen those conversations ramp over the last few years?
They have ramped up, but they've started at the bigger companies. The bigger companies are leading the way, or if one of your customers is ISO 9001, you may find that someone made them do that, like the automotive industry. And that happens. You find that certain standards get forced upon suppliers or your customers. They get forced upon companies by the companies further up the supply chain. And it starts in the medical sector, in the automotive sector. But if they've gone ISO 9001 because they were told to, it stands to reason they've probably gone ISO 14001 for environmental. And some companies I'm seeing out there are going ISO 50001, which is an ISO standard all about energy efficiency. So the regulated industries, the big companies, and the companies that are part of a supply chain with big companies, that is where we're seeing this all begin. The 20, 30 person companies, it is happening, but that's generally with the people who have an altruistic interest in this. The bigger companies are doing it as a big push on efficiency or a big push on cost saving. So you will start seeing this happen from the bigger companies, but it is filtering down more to the smaller companies. And you're going to see more of this in the next few years.
Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? I remember the first ever cybersecurity questionnaire that I received courtesy of a client, probably 2013-ish. And it came courtesy of a client that had a contract with HSBC. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, came a very, very long piece of paper that, in order to retain that contract, had to be filled out to a degree of acceptance by a bank, with questions that, quite frankly, we'd not considered at that point in time. But now, by the way, can you remember the last time EPX won a client and you didn't have to fill out a questionnaire or a dossier around both your approach to data protection and what you'll do for the client?
Exactly, it's the new norm. These things start, as you said, HSBC. The big boys make us do it, and then everyone picks it up because it's a wise thing to do. And energy saving isn't just altruism. You're seeing Microsoft and Google spending a lot of money on data center optimization. They're not doing it just to be nice. They're doing it to make themselves more efficient, to save some money, and it's good for their brand. And that is going to happen to all of us as MSPs soon. There's going to be a real good reason to do it. The title of the talk, green IT, is it good business sense or hippie crap? I'm trying to highlight the point there with the silly title. It's not just for the environmental nuts like me. There is a real legitimate business case to being a little more energy efficient, a little more eco-friendly, to look into where your computer systems, your servers, your network devices are coming from. There is a real genuine business case for that. And that's what I'm going to get across.
It's also being ahead of the curve, isn't it? Because we know what's going to happen. We've seen what's happened in cybersecurity, and I think the two are going to walk hand in hand. There's no escaping it now. And so either you were ahead, you prepared, you made some mistakes, you learn your lessons, and you've adapted as time has gone on, or you got ahead of it in the early days, and what you've done then is compound your experiences to a point that whereas now it's de rigueur, it's in your business processes, it's your team members are familiar with it, it's something that you can really operationalize and move with, and that's where we want to get people.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. There are some fundamental skills I think MSPs probably already have somewhere in the lab, in the office. Figuring out how much energy computer systems use, figuring out how much the CO2 emissions are for the computer system that you just bought. And if you apply that in your sales pitch, you will find you can generate sales if you pitch it in the right way. I recently had a customer uncertain as to whether to make the move from on-prem to cloud. And then I showed them how much their server cost them per month in energy to run and said, you're going to save money by ditching your server and moving to the cloud. And that was it. That was enough to convince them of that. And that was how we made a sale solely on energy. And that, you're going to see more of that. If you can figure out how to sell on that and build it into your pitches, it will make your offer more compelling for your customers.
I think also the opportunity at the moment to stand out and differentiate. We're always looking at ways of conveying business value so that we can be in a competitive advantage when it comes to, being in the last three, being down to the last two in a tender situation, is something that can help to, in the minds of an educated buyer. And you never know really what's important to the client until you know. But one thing's for sure, the more things you've got going, then the more angles of attack that you're going to have in order to win that contract.
Yes, 100%. I can also say that with Powersave, which my Powersave was born out of an idea that I had, and EPX, my MSP, is now bundling that in. And I can say that using Powersave, we can go to a pitch with our customer and say, by the way, we're one of the only MSPs in the country that's going to cause some of your bills to go down when you use us. No one we're pitching against is able to say that. Nobody. And that is a very, very powerful thing when you're trying to renew a contract, when you're trying to win that tender. Being able to say, we have some focus on this. We have some focus on environmentalism. I had one customer that said to me, they are interested in the power saving app and they don't care about any cost savings at all. They just want to know that as far as their ISO 14001 compliance is concerned, that they're doing everything they can. They are saving money, but they only wanted it for the optics to begin with.
Exactly, but then you never know where things will go from there. They could take it further.
Yeah, absolutely. If it'll help you get in the door with a new client, you can start selling everything else in your stack, your security products, your managed services, your pro services. But getting in the door, we have used environmental friendliness to get in there. I was also witness to a talk a while ago about remanufactured laptops. There's a lot of call for this. Refurbished machines, some MSPs embrace them, some MSPs don't. We as an MSP, we don't do refurbished, we do new equipment. But we're starting to look into remanufactured equipment because the CO2 emissions, the waste, the environmental good, having a computer system.
Just cover off the differences there. Let's just rewind slightly so people have got context.
Of course. So a refurbished computer system, you will find the NHS or the MOD cycle through all their hardware every 3 years. The computer goes back and some warehouse somewhere cleans it off, reformats it, runs it through Blanco, and then gets it out and sells it to you, the MSP, and you're buying £300 laptops instead of £800 laptops. That's what we're talking about here. Remanufactured are where those computers are stripped down by a manufacturer and they replace any faulty parts or they replace anything that doesn't quite hit their standards. You will find that they're applying some chemical or I think physical like sanding to the lids of the machines to make sure they look spot on again. Essentially, they will strip the whole machine down and rebuild it. And then they will give you a warranty with it. Sometimes we've been seeing 5-year warranties with remanufactured laptops. So you're buying a machine that is as good as new. It's gone through all the tests. The disks are indeed wiped. You will run a benchmark against them and you'll see that the amount of losses on an SSD are nothing. They are as good as brand new, but you haven't got all the emissions associated with building them. And now you've got a laptop for 500. So that's the remanufacture process. I've given a sort of horrible version of it just there. I was given a talk by an expert, and I'm just relaying that. I'm going to cover some more of that at IT Nation in London.
Amazing. Let's just take a different tack for a few minutes, because one of the thing we get questions on quite a lot when people are talking about, I've never been to one of these. I've heard about the events before. Maybe I'll go kind of on the fence about it. Let's just, part your Powersave hat for a minute. Let's put your MSP hat on.
Yep.
MSP owner, talk to people about your experiences at IT Nation events, at community events as a whole. What would you say to people who are like, oh, maybe I should? I've heard these people talking about it, and every time they talk about it, I think I might do it, and then I forget. What would you say?
I'd say for the first 5 years running my business, we made it up as we went along. We did what felt right. For the next 5 years, we had an okay bit of growth, but it was clear there was something missing. And it was when we first got involved in the community about 10 years ago that we discovered not only are there other companies in our sector willing to share what they know with you, but the talks they're giving, the insights they're sharing, the vendors sharing their knowledge. You realize, goodness me, look how far behind we were doing this all by ourselves. You don't need to do it by yourselves. If you're an MSP owner who's never collaborated with other MSPs, or you've never been to one of these events, you're not on your own. You don't need to reinvent the wheel and figure it all out from scratch every single time. These events will have vendors who know what they're talking about, MSPs who will share their knowledge. The talks are fantastic, especially mine. And you will gain a lot of knowledge that will push your business forward years. I wish we'd done it in our first couple of years.
Amazing. Thank you. By the way, apologies if my noise cancelling mics are hopefully doing the job for everybody in the background, but some little bit of background noise coming through. No, I appreciate it. And it's, as I said to people before, the most important thing you're ever going to invest is your time. And that's what myself and the team value immensely. Our job is to make sure that at the end of the event, everybody leaves thinking, I have the tools, the knowledge, and the actionable insights that I can take forward and make changes in the business that are going to allow us to hit our, smash the growth ceiling, unlock some potential, and just give you that perspective on things that maybe you were missing before, and also the enthusiasm and the urge to go and conquer the mountain. To think, I can do this, I'm going to go and do it. And it's, that's how we come about our agenda. And hopefully, again, with your session about someone from the community, yes, there's a commercial, you have a commercial interest as well, but also from the mind of an MSP owner, these are opportunities that you're seeing in the market. These are challenges that everyone's going to have to face. It's just a question of when, not if. And let's help the community to get ahead of the 8 ball, if you ahead of the curveball, rather than just waiting for it to come and be upon us. And that's the really big challenge there, I think. But yeah, thank you. Thank you as always. You and I have had the pleasure of going through many of these events together. We've been on the road together. We've been at different conferences all around the world. And thank you for stepping up into a leadership and content delivery role for us here. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate that journey.
Gladly. I can say to everyone, these events, IT Nation, you don't know what you don't know, and you will always walk away with some great knowledge. And I'm going to hopefully tell you something about energy, something about the environmental side of IT that you didn't know.
How you can capitalize off it and how you can win and how you can be in the right place to win those opportunities when they come your way. Absolutely. Absolutely. So again, to recap, everybody, IT Nation Connect Europe, the 10th to the 12th of March at the Hilton Metropole on Edgware Road in London. Tickets, of course, are on sale. Our full agenda is published at theitnation.com. You have until Friday to make the most of our early bird ticket offers. So please, 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 if you're on the fence and you're going to do it, don't wait until Monday or even Saturday when the early bird will have ended and our tickets will have gone up to full price. Please take advantage of that early bird offer. Simon, as always, is doing on production duties, helping us with all the details at the bottom of the screen. But one word, theitnation.com, and you can sign up and get your tickets and get involved. Dan will be there. Of course, our guest keynote speaker, other Dan, Daniel Priestley, and myself, Dan number 3. We will all be there, probably with a T-shirt on saying Dan 1, 2, and 3 at some point. But that will be quite funny. But it will be one not to miss. So please do take advantage of those early bird offers. We'll be kicking off on the Monday with our pre-conference workshops. So when you go onto the registration page, you will see a number of pre-conference workshops, run both by ourselves and the IT Nation team and also members of the community. They are strictly on a first register, first serve basis. And a number of them are very, very close to being full and being fully booked. So if you are thinking about doing it, I would get your skates on, get over to the itnation.com, get registered, and also get signed up for some of those workshops. There are some really valuable content that you can take advantage of. So all that remains for me to say is huge thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much for your time and for being a leader within the community. We appreciate it. To everybody watching and listening, we can't wait to see you at IT Nation Connect Europe from the 10th to the 12th of March. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon.
Farewell.